It was a quiet morning in the forested hills of Colorado. Daniel Cross stood alone by the edge of a rocky cliff, his sharp eyes scanning the wide horizon. He wasn't just out for a hike, he was a survivalist, someone who could live in the wild. With no tools, no help, and no rules. For him, silence wasn't empty. It was full of information. He crouched near a stream, touched the water, and smelled the breeze. Something wasn't right, that the birds had gone silent. Daniel slowly stood up. His muscles tensed. The hairs on his arms rose out above him. The sky shifted like water rippling in slow motion. A low hum filled the air, deep and unnatural. The light grew brighter, then everything turned white. The last thing Daniel saw was a beam of silver light, swallowing the world around him. When he opened his eyes, he was lying on a cold metal floor. The air smelled strange, sterile. The walls glowed dim blue. He was inside a cell box made of smooth material, not metal, not glass, but something. In between. Daniel slowly sat up. His instincts kicked in. He wasn't panicked. He wasn't confused. He was angry. "Where am I?" he said softly, his voice calm but hard. A voice echoed through the walls. "Do not be alarmed. You are safe." Daniel stood up and walked to the nearest wall. He touched it. It didn't feel cold. It didn't feel warm. It just existed. "Who are you?" he asked. The voice replied, "I am Kravax, lead xenobiologist of the High Mind Institute. You have been selected for observation." "You mean kidnapped?" There was a pause. Then the voice said, "Your kind lives on a death world. We needed a specimen for study." Daniel laughed. Quiet, sharp laugh. "You took the wrong human," he muttered. In the control room above, Kravax watched through a translucent screen. His many eyes blinked rapidly. The human was not reacting as expected. "Subject remains unusually calm," said one of the assistants. "He's already analyzing us," Kravax said. "Typical Deathworld behavior. Dangerous, but fascinating." Kravax turned to the assistant. "Increase the gravitational field. Let's test his limits." Back in the cell, Daniel suddenly felt his body pull down. His knees bent slightly. It felt like carrying a full backpack uphill. But he didn't fall, so there. "Playing games," he whispered. He started doing push-ups on the floor, slow, controlled, without a sound. Cameras watched him. Machines recorded everything. He kept going. Later, mechanical arms entered the cell. They carried tool scanners, needles, probes. One aimed at Daniel's neck. Without warning, he grabbed it mid-air and twisted. The metal arm cracked with a loud snap. Sparks flew. The machines backed away. Daniel threw the broken piece at the camera. It hit dead center. Alarms echoed across the lab. Kravax stood frozen. He broke it, without tools. That arm was built to withstand. "Taric strength levels," the assistant whispered. Kravax growled. "I told them, Deathworlders are unpredictable. You don't study them like animals, you observe from far." "But you brought one here," said another voice behind him. Kravax turned. It was Counselor Vila. Her eyes were narrow, cold. "You broke the galactic code," she said. "No living being can be taken without consent." Kravax stood tall. "He is not an intelligent species." "You're wrong," she replied. "He already speaks more than some council races." Vila turned to the screen. Daniel was now pacing, examining the corners of the cell. Not panicked, not frightened, just thinking. "We need to stop this," she said. "No," Kravax said. "We observe until we understand." In the lower ship levels, 2 guards entered the hallway near Daniel's cell. Their orders were simple: sedate the human. Take blood samples. "No harm." One of them whispered. "Why not just gas him?" The scientists said no toxins could affect results. The guards entered with long rods that sparkled with blue energy. Daniel was waiting for them. Not hiding. Standing still, hands behind his back. Step forward, one guard ordered. Daniel smiled. Are you sure? The guard stepped in. In a flash, Daniel moved. He grabbed the first rod, twisted it out of the alien's hand, and used it to stun the second. The first guard tried to run but slipped. Daniel caught him before he fell. I didn't ask for this, he said. He left the cell unlocked and walked down the hall. Kravax panicked. Lock all doors. Engage auto-defense mode. The ship's I spoke calmly. Human subject has bypassed. 3 doors, no security breach detected in logs. He's not hacking. He is observing. Then how is he moving freely? He understands movement, not systems. He watches, listens, and waits. Daniel found the central control hallway. He didn't touch anything. He just looked. In the middle of the room was a map of the galaxy. Planets, routes, starbases. He focused on one glowing dot. Earth. They knew where it was. And they thought it was weak. He memorized the coordinates. Then he turned. You're watching. Me, he said to the camera. Silence. I'm watching you too. He left the room and returned to his cell. Voluntarily, Kravax stared at the footage. He went back. He chose not to escape, the assistant whispered. Counselor Vila looked thoughtful. He doesn't want revenge, not yet. He wants understanding, Kravax said, or something worse. Later, Daniel sat on the cell floor. A small voice spoke from a corner speaker. Why didn't you run? Daniel looked up. Because running is for prey. The voice paused. I'm Vila from the Galactic Council. You're not a prisoner. Not anymore. Then let me speak, Daniel said. To who? To all of you. Hours later, in a private chamber above the ship, a hologram of Daniel appeared before 5 council members. He stood straight, his arms behind his back. You took me from my world, he said. You didn't ask. You didn't warn. You just took. One alien muttered, it was for science. And if I took your child the same way? Daniel asked. Silence. You call Earth a death world. Maybe you're right. But we live there. We survive. We learn. We fight. Not because we want to, but because we must. He stepped forward in the projection. You want to study humans? Then here's your first lesson. He looked directly into the camera. Don't ever mistake calm for weakness. The feed ended. No one spoke for a full minute. Finally, Counselor Vila whispered, send him back, with respect. Daniel returned to Earth weeks later. He stepped off a small pod in the same forest where he had vanished. The birds chirped again. The wind moved like before, but he was different. He looked at the sky and smiled. They'll come back, he said. He picked up his backpack, walked into the trees, and disappeared into the wild. But above, among the stars, the name Daniel Cross was now whispered on every planet, in every lab, on every ship, the Deathworlder who didn't escape, because he didn't have to. The lights in the alien ship flickered as Daniel Cross stood in the center of his cell, calm and silent. He had already broken one of their machines. He had fought off 2 guards. But he hadn't tried to escape again. That was what scared them the most. Kravax, the alien scientist who had taken Daniel from Earth, watched the human through a wide screen. His many black eyes twitched with unease. The human was doing nothing, just standing still, but the danger was obvious. This one, he's not like the others, Kravax said softly. The assistant beside him nodded. He doesn't behave like a captured animal. He's watching us, studying us. Kravax leaned closer to the screen. He is preparing for something. I can feel it. Daniel sat down slowly and stared into the ceiling camera. He tilted his head slightly, like he was smiling. I think he knows we're afraid, whispered the assistant. Kravax took a deep breath. Let's see what fear looks like in him. He pressed a button. In the hallway outside Daniel's cell, 2 large alien guards waited. Each one wore heavy black armor. Their skin was a rough purple, their faces covered by thick masks. They were bred for strength and battle. "Enter," said the voice in their ears. They walked into the cell with slow steps. One carried an energy rod, the other a magnetic cuff. Daniel didn't move. "You will cooperate," said the taller guard. Daniel raised one eyebrow. "Will I?" "We have orders to restrain and move you." Daniel's eyes didn't blink. "What if I say no?" The guard stepped forward. The taller one reached for Daniel's arm. In one smooth motion, Daniel moved. His hand caught the guard's wrist and twisted it backward fast and brutal. The joint snapped with a loud pop. The guard screamed, but Daniel didn't stop. He kicked the second guard in the stomach. The armor cracked. The alien flew backward and hit the wall hard. The first guard dropped to the floor, holding his broken arm. Daniel stood tall, breathing slowly. He wasn't even sweating. "Don't touch me," he said. He walked to the corner of the cell, sat down, and closed his eyes. Above, Kravac stared. In shock. They were the best we had. The assistant's hands shook. This isn't a simple Deathworlder. This is something else." Kravac spoke carefully. "He could have killed them. But he didn't." "He's choosing to wait," the assistant whispered. "But for what?" Later, another alien came to the lab. She was tall, with light green skin and bright silver eyes. Her name was Vilari, and she was a high diplomat from the Galactic Council. She stepped into the control room without fear. "I want to speak with him," she said. Kravac raised his hand. "That's not wise. He is violent." Vilari frowned. "He's powerful." "Not violent. You made the first move." "He only responded." "You don't understand what he is," Kravac said. "No," she replied. "You don't." In the cell, Daniel heard the door unlock again. This time no guards entered. Only a single alien come, unarmed. She stepped forward, careful but confident. "My name is Vilari," she said. Daniel looked at her. "You're not like the others. I didn't take you. I wasn't part of this." "But you're still here," Daniel replied. "I came to listen, to understand." He studied her face for a moment, then nodded. "Good, because no one else has even tried." Vilari sat across from him on the floor. "You're not angry," she said softly. "I am," he replied. "But anger doesn't solve anything. Strategy does. Then what do you want, Daniel?" He looked up at the ceiling, then back at her. "I want you to know what you've done," he said. "You broke a rule. You touched something you don't understand. You thought I was weak, but Earth is a death world, and humans, we adapt." Vilari leaned forward. "Are you planning revenge?" "No," Daniel said. "I'm planning balance." The footage of their conversation was recorded and leaked, no one knew by whom. Within hours, it was spreading across the galactic network. Millions of aliens watched as the human spoke with calm intelligence. His words were clear. His message was terrifying. "Earth is not what you think," he said in the video. "You see our world and call it dangerous, we call it home. You see storms, we walk through them. You see predators, we learn from them." The galaxy began to whisper. Some were curious. Some were afraid. On one planet, a military leader asked, "What if they send more of him?" On another world, a scientist whispered, "What if he's only average among his people?" Kravac tried to stop the spread, but it was too late. The human wasn't just a test subject now. He was a message. Back in the lab, Daniel was moved to a larger room. It wasn't a cell anymore. It had windows, books, and a strange version of a chair. He read everything they gave him. He learned fast. One day, he asked for a star map. "Why?" Vilari asked. "I want to know how far I am from home." She hesitated, then gave it to him. Daniel stared at the map. His fingers traced the stars. "So many systems," he whispered. "So many watchers. But no protectors. What do you mean? Valari asked. You all have technology, Daniel said. But you don't have responsibility. You take what you want. You test who you want. You think knowledge means control. Valari didn't speak. She knew he was right. That night, an emergency call came through the ship. An alien named Zirek from a hostile empire had sent a message to Kravax. I saw your human, the message said. I want him. Kravax's heart sank. Why? Zirek's reply was simple. Because he is the future of war. Kravax knew then that he had made a terrible mistake. Valari found Daniel in the observation room. There's a problem, she said. I know, Daniel said. They want to use me. Yes, a warlord has sent a request. He's offering ships, resources, anything to have you. Daniel stood up slowly. They won't get me, he said. Not alive. Valari was silent for a moment. Do you want to go back to Earth? Daniel looked out the window at the stars. Yes, but not yet. Why not? Because I haven't shown them everything yet. Kravax met Valari in the corridor. I suggest we keep him hidden, he said. If the wrong people find him, they already have, she replied. Then what do? We let him speak. The Galactic Council agreed to hold a secret session. Only trusted members were invited. No cameras, no press. Daniel walked into the hall wearing alien formal clothes. He walked like he didn't fear anyone. Counselors from 10 different species stared at him. Some whispered, some glared. He stood at the center. You kidnapped me, he began. But I'm still here. You tested me, but I never broke. You. The ship floated in deep space, hidden near the edge of a dying star system. Inside, the halls were cold and silent, except for the humming of machines and the whispers of fear. Daniel Cross stood at a window, arms crossed, watching the stars. Beyond, he had been taken from Earth weeks ago, but everything had changed since then. He was no longer just a specimen to the aliens who had kidnapped him. He was a name the galaxy had begun to fear. A guard passed behind him and quickly looked away. The human didn't speak much, but he didn't need to. Everyone remembered what he had done, how he broke alien restraints with ease, how he defeated 2 elite guards in seconds, how he stared down scientists and diplomats alike without blinking, and still he hadn't even raised his voice. In the control center, Kravax watched the data screen nervously. Rumors were spreading faster than any virus they had ever studied. Every day, more systems learned about the human from Earth. He's all over the outer channels, said his assistant, her voice trembling. They're calling him the Star Beast. Absurd, Kravax snapped. He hasn't even left this ship, but the video is out, his voice, his face. Even footage from the training room. It's everywhere. Kravax turned to the monitor. Alien faces flashed across it, each one talking about the human. Some were terrified. Others were curious. A few were even excited. Maybe we should send him back, the assistant whispered. Kravax narrowed his eyes. It's too late for that. On the planet Valor, a small news drone hovered over a market. The screen on its front played a video of Daniel lifting a 600-kilogram security drone like it was nothing. This is what they're hiding, a voice said. A Deathworlder with unmatched strength and dangerous intelligence. In a dark corner of the market, 2 alien smugglers whispered quietly. Is it true? One asked. Can one human really do that? They say he broke out of his cage and then returned by choice. Who does that? Something smart and deadly. Back on the ship, Daniel wasn't interested in the rumors. He had heard enough. He had seen the strange looks, the fear, the respect. He sat in his quarters, looking at a digital star map. Earth, he whispered, still out there. Valari, the alien diplomat who had been kind to him, stepped into the room. They're calling you names across the galaxy, she said gently. Daniel didn't look up. I know. They think you're a weapon. I'm not. Valari walked closer. Then what are you? Daniel looked at her for a long moment. I'm the warning they should have listened to. Meanwhile, in the deep reaches of Sector 14, a pirate ship intercepted a communication between science stations. Play it again. The pirate captain growled. The screen buzzed and then showed a blurry video. Daniel surrounded by guards, calm and still, saying one line. Don't ever mistake calm for weakness. The pirates were silent. That's not a soldier, one muttered. That's a storm waiting to happen. Should we try to capture him? Asked another. The captain shook his head. You don't chase lightning. Kovacs was desperate. He had tried to delete the footage, tried to silence the whispers, but they only grew louder. Now, calls were coming from across the galaxy, questions from governments, offers from black market traders, even threats from warlords. One message was from the Tyrant Empire. We heard you have a Deathworlder. The voice said, we want him, alive or in parts. Name your price. Kovacs slammed his fist on the console. This is getting out of control. Valari entered the lab behind him. It was never in control, she said. You broke a rule. And now the galaxy knows. Kovacs spun to face her. He's still my project. I'm the only one who understands his biology. No, Valari said coldly. You don't understand anything about him. She turned to leave but paused at the door. And he knows it. Daniel sat in a small room, the lights dim, his thoughts focused. Valari joined him, holding a tablet. You need to see this, she said. She played a new video. It was an alien general from the planet Draken. This human shows potential, the general said. We offer full asylum. In return, he serves in our military. Daniel raised an eyebrow. They want to use me. Yes, Valari said. But others want to kill you. The council is split. Some think you're dangerous. Some think you're valuable. Daniel leaned forward. And what do you think? Valari didn't answer immediately. I think. You didn't ask for any of this. But now you carry something powerful. Fear, Daniel nodded. And fear spreads fast. The next day, Kovacs tried to move Daniel to a more secure chamber. The plan was simple: sedate him, scan him, keep him under tighter control. But when the guards came in, Daniel didn't resist. He simply stood, looked them in the eye, and said, "Be careful. Fear makes people stupid." They hesitated, but carried out the orders. Hours later in the lab, Daniel was strapped to a table. Scanners whirred around him. Needles reached out. Kovacs stepped forward. "We'll find out how you're different. We'll map every part of you," Daniel spoke calmly. "Do you think you're safe?" Kovacs smirked. "You're restrained. You can't harm anyone now." "I'm not talking about me," Daniel said. "I'm talking about them." Kovacs frowned. "What? Everyone out there," Daniel whispered. "The ones hearing the stories. The ones who now fear Earth. You didn't just kidnap a man. You woke up a world." Suddenly, the ship's alarms blared. "Incoming transmission." The AI said. Kovacs turned to the screen. A ship had arrived. It wasn't human. It was from the Kelzar Syndicate, ruthless alien hunters who traded in rare life forms. "This is Commander Threx." The message began. "We have tracked the Deathworlder. We will take him now. Surrender or be destroyed." Kovacs's face went pale. He turned to Daniel. "You caused this." "No," Daniel replied. "You did." Valari rushed into the lab. "We have to let him go," she shouted. "They'll destroy the whole ship just to take him." Kovacs shook his head. "He's still mine." "He was never yours," Valari snapped. Outside, the Kelzar ship charged weapons. Inside, Daniel broke the straps. With a grunt, metal cracked. Sparks flew. He stood slowly, his eyes calm but fierce. "I can stop them," he said. Kovacs blinked. "You?" Daniel nodded. "But not for you, for her." He looked at Valari. "You showed me respect. I'll return the favor." In the docking bay, Daniel stood alone. The Kelzar troops entered with weapons raised. They were tall, armored, and ready for battle. Daniel didn't flinch. "I'm not coming with you," he said. The lead alien growled. "Then you die." Daniel moved. 1 second. That's all it took. In a blur of motion, he slammed one soldier into the wall, rolled under a blast, and tore the weapon from another. He fought like a wild storm, precise, powerful, unstoppable. When the smoke cleared, the aliens were on the ground, groaning. Defeated. Daniel stood in the center. Not a scratch on him. Behind him, Valari and the ship crew stared in awe. He looked back. "Tell the galaxy," he said. "The stories are true." Hours later, the Council received a final report. Kelzar assault repelled. No casualties among ship crew. Human returned to quarters voluntarily. One Council member leaned back. "What do we do now?" Another replied quietly, "We pray Earth never gets angry." On his bed, Daniel sat alone. He looked at a photo of Earth someone had uploaded for him. Trees, mountains, blue sky. "I'm coming home," he whispered. "But not yet." Outside his room, aliens passed silently. Some looked in through the chunga window. None dared enter. Because now, the galaxy wasn't just talking about Daniel Cross. They were warning each other, never provoke a Deathworlder. The council chamber was filled with silence. 12 beings from 12 powerful races sat around a curved table of glowing stone. Holograms floated above them, maps, data, classified reports. At the center of it all was a single name: Daniel Cross. Human, a Deathworlder. And the most dangerous unknown in the galaxy. Counselor Valari stood near the center podium. Her silver eyes swept across the room. She wore a dark blue robe with the crest of neutrality, a symbol that she was not here for war, but for truth. One counselor, a large creature with 6 red eyes and a crown of thorns on its head, leaned forward. "Why are we meeting about one primitive?" He growled. "There are entire planets at war. And you bring us this?" Valari stayed calm. "Because this one primitive, as you call him, just defeated a Kelzar squad. Alone, with no armor, no weapons, and no injuries." The room shifted. Another counselor whispered, "That's impossible." Valari turned to the council. "It's recorded, verified. You all received the footage. You know it's real." A different voice cut in soft, cold. "He is human, from Earth, a Deathworld. We've always avoided them for a reason." One of the younger members, Counselor Zane, leaned forward. "Avoided or ignored?" Valari spoke again. "I was there when he was taken without consent. He was supposed to be a specimen. He became a warning. And now he is becoming something more." The chamber went silent again. Valari activated a device. A large screen appeared behind her. On it, Daniel Cross walked into a galactic court chamber. He wore alien formal wear, his shoulders straight, his steps slow and steady. Hundreds of species watched from their seats, expecting a monster. Instead, he stood before them and spoke in calm, clear words. "You took me without asking," he said. "You locked me away. You tested me like a beast. But I'm not your enemy. I'm your mirror. Everything you fear is something you taught me." The screen froze on his face, calm, sharp, unreadable. Counselor Dren leaned back, his large chest rising slowly. "He speaks like a leader. He learns fast," Valari replied. "Faster than we expected. He knows our tech. He speaks 5 galactic languages now. He reads our history. He watches our laws." A smaller counselor, shaped like a silver orb with floating limbs, blinked its light. "So what does he want?" Valari looked at the floor for a moment, then raised her head. "Not revenge, not power. He wants respect, justice, and peace." "Peace?" Counselor Zane asked. "Then why did he break bones and destroy drones?" "Because no one listened when he spoke softly," Valari said. "So he showed his teeth." While the council debated, Daniel Cross sat quietly in his chamber aboard the ship above council space. It wasn't a cell anymore. It was a guest room. A place of watching. Valari entered the room. She didn't knock. "They're talking about you," she said. Daniel didn't look up. "I know. They don't know what to do. They rarely do." She smiled faintly. "You're becoming famous." "Famous or feared?" he asked. "Both." Daniel finally turned to face her. "They don't understand Earth. They don't understand what survival does to us. What our world demands." Valari nodded. "You're going to have to explain it. Soon." Daniel stood. "Then let's give them the truth." Back in the chamber, the discussion grew louder. Some demanded Daniel be returned to Earth immediately. Others said he was too valuable or too dangerous to let go. One of them, Counselor Thyron of the warlike Ryal species, stood and shouted, "What if this is just the first of many? What if Earth sends more of them? Soldiers, hunters, assassins?" Valari stepped forward again. "No," she said. "They didn't send him. We took him, without permission, without knowledge. If Earth wanted to attack, they wouldn't send one man. And they wouldn't ask questions." Counselor Zane leaned back in his seat. "So what is your plan?" Valari answered with one word. "Let him speak." The chamber fell quiet. A few moments. Later, the main doors opened. Daniel Cross walked in. Alone. No guards. No restraints. He wore dark robes, simple but clean. He didn't bow. He didn't hesitate. He walked straight to the center and looked each counselor in the eye. "I don't need to tell you what I've done," he said. "You've seen it." No one interrupted. "I was taken from my home. Tested, observed, feared. Then the galaxy began to talk about me." He raised one hand slowly. "I didn't ask for this." He looked at the screen behind him. Images of Earth. Appeared forests, deserts, oceans, snowstorms, volcanoes. "That's my home. A world of fire and frost, of predators and poison. But we survived, not with claws or fangs, with mind, with will, with pain." He turned back to the council. "You call Earth a death world. But for us, it's life. We don't fear the world. We become stronger because of it." One counselor whispered, "And now you are here, stronger than most." Daniel nodded. "Because you forced me to adapt." He stepped forward. "I don't want war. But if you keep treating humans like animals, if you keep talking about control and capture, Earth will respond." Another image appeared on the screen. It showed Earth's military training, rockets launching, humans in survival suits walking. Across toxic landscapes. "We've never asked the galaxy for anything, but now that you know we exist, respect is the only thing we'll accept." Daniel stepped back. "I don't need your approval, but you need our trust. And trust starts with truth." He said no more. He stood still. Waiting. The chamber sat in stunned silence for several moments. Finally, Counselor Dren spoke. "Was anything he said false?" "No," said Valari. "We checked. All true." "And the footage? The strength, the survival? All confirmed." Another counselor asked, "So what do we do?" Valari turned to Daniel. "What do you want us to do?" Daniel looked around the chamber. His voice was steady. "Stop hiding from truth. Fix your laws. Make sure what happened to me never happens again to anyone, not just humans. And if we don't?" Counselor Theron asked coldly. Daniel looked at him. "Then more humans will come, and they won't be here to talk." After Daniel left the chamber, the council remained silent for a long time. Finally, one counselor whispered, "We always thought humans were fragile." "We were wrong," said another. Counselor Zane shook his head slowly. "No, we were just blind." Valari smiled faintly and whispered under her breath, "Now we see clearly." Later that night, Daniel stood on a balcony above the council station. The stars shimmered around him like frozen sparks. Valari joined him. They've decided to update the Interstellar Species Protection Law, she said. Good. Daniel replied, and the council voted to recognize Earth as a sovereign world. Daniel looked up at the stars. Even better. You changed everything, Valari said softly. No, Daniel said. I just showed them what already existed, she smiled. What will you do now? He turned to her, calm and focused. I'll go home. Then I'll prepare Earth for the day the galaxy knocks again. Valari nodded. We'll be ready, Daniel smirked. So will we. The wind shifted gently through the air, silent among the stars, and the galaxy finally understood. Earth was not a myth. Daniel Cross was not a mistake, and the truth had only just begun to spread. The stars outside the ship were quiet, but inside, everything had changed. Daniel Cross sat on the edge of his bed, staring at the door. It was no longer locked. He wasn't a prisoner anymore. After facing the Galactic Council and showing them who he truly was, they had decided to give him freedom. But it wasn't real freedom. There were always guards nearby, always eyes watching him. The walls weren't thick, but they were full of cameras. The halls were quiet, but full of whispers. He could leave, he could run, but he didn't single quotes not yet. Valari entered the room, as she often did now. She no longer knocked. She didn't need to. She knew Daniel was always ready. You haven't asked to go home, she said softly. Daniel looked up at her. Why would I? She hesitated. Because you said that's what you wanted. I do, Daniel replied. But not yet. She stepped closer. Why not? Because they're still lying, he said. Far across the station, deep in a restricted sector, Kravak stood beside a tall energy chamber. Inside floated a second pod, dark, sealed and humming. A soft voice spoke behind him. You didn't tell the council about this, did you? Kravaks didn't turn. They didn't ask. Inside the pod was a second human, not Daniel. Not conscious, a female. Her heart beat slowly inside the pod. She had been taken from Earth months before Daniel, hidden from all records. An earlier experiment. Kravak stared at her face. She hasn't woken yet. His assistant shivered. If Daniel finds out. Kravaks turned, his eyes cold. That's why he can't leave. Daniel walked the station's halls calmly. Aliens moved aside as he passed. Some greeted him with quiet respect. Others didn't meet his eyes. All had heard the stories. He walked into the observation room, where maps of the galaxy glowed on a wall. He studied one planet after another, systems he didn't know, names he couldn't pronounce. Then he found Earth. He stared at it for a long time. You miss it, Valari said from behind him, every second. Then why stay? Daniel turned. Because I feel it. Something's not right. Valari didn't answer. Someone is lying, he said. That night, Daniel sat in silence. He had no weapons, no armor. Just a table, a bed, and his thoughts. Suddenly, the lights flickered, only for a second, but enough. He stood up. The lights never flickered here. He placed a small reflective plate near the ceiling camera. Then he whispered, I'm ready. Across the station, inside a hidden chamber, Kravaks watched the feed. He's testing us. His assistant nodded. I think he suspects the pod. Kravaks spoke quietly. If he finds her, everything falls apart. The assistant looked nervous. Then what do we do? Kravaks answered with only one word. Delay. The next morning, Valari brought Daniel a datapad. The council wants you to attend another session tomorrow. They want your thoughts on interspecies ethics. Daniel smiled faintly. So now I'm their moral compass? They trust you. No, he said. They fear me. And they want to use that fear as a tool. Valari hesitated. That's not true. Daniel raised an eyebrow. Isn't it? She didn't reply. He stood slowly. I'll go, but first, I want access to the lower decks. Valari blinked. Why? To walk, he said simply. To think, to see. I'll ask. No, Daniel said. Don't ask, just open it. Valari nodded slowly. She didn't know why, but she obeyed. Later that night, Daniel entered the lower decks. The halls were darker, colder. Pipes hissed. Lights flickered. He moved silently, like a shadow. He passed closed doors, ignored warnings, and turned off every camera he could find. He didn't rush. He didn't panic. He followed instinct. And instinct led him to a door, labeled sublevel. Research. He stared at it for a long time. Then he opened it. Inside, the room was silent except for the soft hum of energy. The pod floated in the center. Lights blinked on its side. A small monitor showed vital signs. Daniel stepped closer. His eyes widened. It was a woman. Human. He touched the pod. She's alive. He whispered. Behind him, the door opened. Kravax stood there, flanked by 2 guards. You weren't supposed to find this. Daniel didn't turn. Who is she? Kravax's voice was calm. She was the first. We found her during an Earth expedition. She's never woken. Daniel spoke softly. She didn't consent. No, Kravax admitted. Daniel turned. You broke every law, he said. You told the council I was the only one. You lied. Kravax shrugged. You're more useful than she was. Daniel looked down at the woman again. She has a name, he said. Kravax laughed. We didn't ask. Daniel stepped away from the pod. You should have. Then, in a blur, he moved. He grabbed the first guard's weapon and turned it on. The second. A blast hit the wall. Sparks flew. Kravax shouted, Don't kill them. Daniel didn't. He dropped both guards in seconds, unconscious, not dead. Then he stepped toward Kravax. The scientist backed away. You wanted to study me? Daniel said, Then study this. I'm not your subject. I'm your sentence. Kravax trembled. What are you going to do? Daniel looked at the pod. Wake her. Valari arrived minutes later. She ran into the chamber, eyes wide. Daniel, what did you do? I found the truth. She looked at the pod, then at Kravax lying on the floor, groaning. Her voice cracked. How long has she been here? Kravax whispered. Months. Daniel stepped forward. We need medical support. Now, Valari nodded. I'll handle it. Daniel looked at her. You believe me now? Valari looked at the pod, the guards, the lies. Yes, she said. I believe everything. Later, the woman was moved to a medical bay. Still unconscious, but stable. They finally learned her. Name from her belongings, Claire Halle. She had been a doctor. A researcher. She was smart, kind. She had vanished 6 months ago from a hiking trip in Alaska. Now she was drifting through space. Daniel sat beside her bed. I'll get you home, he said quietly. Valari stood behind him. The council has been informed. What did they say? They're furious. Kravax has been removed. The lab shut down. Charges are coming. Daniel nodded. And me? They're scared again. He smiled faintly. Good. They should be. Valari walked forward. Do you still want to go home? Daniel stood and looked out the window. I will. But not yet. Not yet, he whispered. Not until she wakes up. Not until I know they won't do this to anyone else. Valari nodded. You're not just a warning anymore, she said. You're a watchman. Daniel turned to her. Then let them know. The watchman doesn't sleep. Outside the window, the stars burned bright, and in the darkness of space, the galaxy realized he could have escaped at any time. He still could, but he chose to stay, which made him even more dangerous. The Grand Hall of the Galactic Court was the most protected place in the galaxy. Built on the orbiting station of Zenth Prime, it could hold thousands of delegates from every corner of space. The walls were made of shimmering crystal alloy. The floor reflected like glass. Holograms floated in the air, displaying laws, histories, and faces. But on this day, Everyone had come to see just one face. A human. Daniel Cross stood behind a large, circular podium. He wore a clean black uniform with no weapons, no tech, no marks, just cloth. Yet many in the crowd flinched when he looked their way. Thousands of alien leaders filled the seats around him. Members of the Galactic Council sat higher up, watching closely. Daniel took a deep breath. He wasn't here to fight. Not with fists. Today. His words would be the weapon. Counselor Zane cleared his throat. This special session of the Galactic Court will now begin. The topic: Earth, human presence, Council violations, and potential reparations. There was a low hum of voices, whispers, in dozens of languages. Counselor Dren stood next. Let the record show. Daniel Cross, human from Earth, has agreed to speak without force, under full protection. He is not on trial. Not yet, some thought silently. Daniel looked at the massive audience. He could feel their fear, their curiosity, their doubt. Then he spoke. I was taken without warning. Taken from my home, my world, my life. I was treated like an animal, locked in a cage, scanned, measured, watched. Gasps echoed in the chamber. By one of your own Kravax, a council scientist. Under your banner. Counselor Theron, a hard-faced warrior, narrowed his eyes. You have no proof. Daniel smiled faintly. Don't I? He raised a small crystal chip. Every scan, every lab record, every command. It's all here. You can run it now. A council guard took the chip and inserted it into the court projector. Within seconds, the chamber filled with images of Daniel in a containment cell, of Kravax issuing commands, of guards dragging Daniel across metal floors. And worse, a pod. Human woman floating inside. Claire Hawley. Her name now whispered across the galaxy. Daniel's voice cut through the silence. She was the first, taken before me, hidden from the council. She's still unconscious, still healing. A long pause. Then Counselor Villari stepped forward from her seat. I confirm everything he said, she said clearly. I saw it myself. I helped expose it. The council failed. And Earth deserves truth. Counselor Theron stood angrily. This is not justice, it's emotional blackmail. Daniel turned to face him directly. No, he said coldly. It's the mirror you've been afraid to look into. In the observation deck above, hundreds of alien citizens watched on public screens. Some were horrified, others were shocked. A few whispered with awe. That's the Deathworlder. One said. He doesn't look like a killer, said another. He doesn't need to, said a third. He speaks like one who already won. Back in the chamber, Counselor Zane raised his hand. Mr. Cross, what is it that you want from this court? Daniel paused. Then he spoke slowly. Respect. Change, and a law that protects all species. No matter how small, how unknown, how different. Counselor Dren asked, and if the council refuses? Daniel looked directly at the high platform. Then Earth will protect itself. And the next human they meet might not be me. The words hung in the air like a storm cloud. Outside the chamber, diplomats scrambled. Ambassadors argued. Some demanded Daniel be arrested. Others begged to open peace talks with Earth. In the shadows, a figure watched silently. It was a Kelzar spy, one of the alien empire's most feared factions. He turned and activated a hidden cum. He's becoming too powerful, the spy whispered. The galaxy listens when he speaks. A voice on the other end replied, then silence him. That evening, Daniel returned to his guest quarters. Villari met him inside. You shook the court, she said. They needed it. They're voting tomorrow, she said, on the Earth protocol. Daniel sat down, and? It might pass. Barely, Daniel nodded. That's enough. Villari looked at him with careful eyes. Are you sure you're safe here? No one's ever truly safe, he said, but I'm not hiding. Suddenly, the lights in the room flickered. Daniel stood up. Valari's hand moved to her communicator. Security report. No answer. Daniel narrowed his eyes. They're here. A door exploded. 3 shadowy figures in black armor rushed in silent. Fast, deadly. Daniel reacted instantly. He grabbed a chair and threw it like a missile. 1. Attacker flew backward. Armor cracking. Valari ducked as laser fire scorched the walls. Daniel tackled the second attacker and slammed him into the table. Sparks flew. The attacker groaned and collapsed. The third raised a blaster, but Daniel was already moving. A quick roll. A strike to the elbow. A sweep to the legs. The blaster fell. Daniel caught it midair and aimed at the fallen enemy. Stop! Valari shouted. He's unconscious. Daniel lowered the weapon, breathing hard. But calm. Minutes later, council guards stormed in. Daniel handed them the chip from the spy's helmet. Kelzar, he said. They want the galaxy silent. Zane arrived quickly, eyes wide. They attacked you? In the heart of your court, Daniel replied. Valari stepped beside him. If he had died here tonight, you would have had a galactic war. Counselor. Zane turned to the guards. Seal the court. No one leaves. No one enters, not until the vote. The next morning, the chamber was tense. All seats were filled. Counselor Zane stepped forward. Last night, there was an assassination attempt on Mr. Cross. We have confirmed the attackers were Kelzar agents. Gasps spread across the room. Today we vote, not just on laws, but on whether or not we allow this galaxy to be ruled. By fear or by justice. Counselors pressed their votes into the system. One by one. Daniel waited. Minutes passed. Then Zane looked up. The Earth Protocol passes, he said. By 2 votes. Cheers erupted in the chamber. The law was clear. No species could be studied, taken, or tested without full consent, recognition, and equal voice. Earth was now an official recognized world of the Galactic Council. Daniel exhaled. Finally. Later. In a quiet moment, Daniel stood in the garden dome, looking out at the stars. Vala, I walked beside him. You changed everything, she said softly. I just reminded them what they forgot. And what's that? He smiled faintly. Humans. Maybe new to space, but we've faced monsters before. We just never thought they'd wear lab coats. Valari laughed softly. You'll be leaving soon, she said. Daniel nodded. Earth needs to know. About Claire, about the Council, about the truth. And if they come back for you. He turned to her. Then they'd better bring more than 3. Above them, the stars blinked quietly. But across the galaxy, no. One was quiet anymore. Because now, a human had stood in the court, and the galaxy was listening. The galaxy had never feared Earth before. For centuries, Earth was seen as nothing special, a small blue planet in a quiet arm of the Milky Way. Humans were considered primitive, unpredictable, even amusing. They had no fleets in space, no colonies on alien worlds, and no say in the affairs of the stars. That was before Daniel Cross. Now, everything had changed, and the galaxy was afraid. In a war chamber deep beneath the planet Drazen, 10 generals sat in silence. A large screen floated above them, showing news from across the stars. On it was Daniel speaking before the Galactic Court, calm and controlled, surrounded by the most powerful leaders in the known universe. This human, one general said, has caused more political change in 3 weeks than our fleets have in 30 years. Another general tapped the table with his claw. He survived a Kelzar assassination. He exposed a council crime. He's not just a man anymore, he's a symbol. A third general leaned forward. What happens if Earth sends more like him? No one answered. Elsewhere, in the Slokari Empire, a team of alien scientists analyzed footage of Daniel's fights. His heart rate barely rose during combat. One said, he adapted to alien languages in days. He broke restraints made for heavy world gladiators. A technician turned around. Do we know how many humans are like him? The scientist shook his head. We don't. That's the problem. Even in black markets and pirate dens, rumors spread like wildfire. They say Earth used to be ignored, a smuggler whispered. Now the council treats it like a sleeping dragon. A bounty hunter leaned forward. You want to poke a dragon? No, the smuggler said. I want to make sure I'm not standing near the one who does. Back on Zenth Prime, Daniel stood in the medical wing, watching over Claire Hawley. She was still unconscious, her breathing steady, her vitals strong. The doctor said it was only a matter of time. He sat beside her bed, holding a small datapad in one hand. On the screen was a list of recent events. Earth officially recognized by the Galactic Council. Human Rights Protocol past Kravax imprisoned. Kelzar declared a threat to diplomatic species, and yet Daniel didn't smile. VLAR, I walked in quietly. They're watching you from every system now, she said. The galaxy fears Earth. Daniel looked at her. Good. You want them scared? I want them careful, he replied. Fear keeps them honest. She stepped closer. What happens when the fear fades? Then we remind them, Daniel said softly. Again and again, if we have to. That night, across Council territory, strange things began to happen. A Terran flag appeared projected on the side of a moon. A spaceport on Varnes played Earth's national anthem during docking, a black market. AI changed its welcome message, please be polite. You never know when a human is listening. The fear had turned into something else. Respect. And power. In a secret meeting chamber, a group of council members gathered behind closed doors. Zane, Dren, and Valari stood among them. We're receiving hundreds of requests, Zane said. Worlds want trade with Earth, cultural exchanges, embassies. Dren frowned. Somewhat weapons, Valari spoke clearly. Earth doesn't even know what's happened yet. Their governments are still catching up. We gave one man the spotlight. Now the whole species will rise behind it. Zane rubbed his temples. Are we ready for that? No, Valari said. But we don't get to stop it. In orbit above Zenth Prime, a new ship arrived, sleek, silver, and fast. The emblem of Earth was painted across its side. It was the Artemis I. The first human diplomatic vessel. Daniel stood in the docking bay as it landed. He watched the ramp open slowly, revealing 2 human ambassadors in formal dress and 3 Earth guards in armored suits. The lead ambassador, a tall woman with short white hair, stepped forward. Daniel Cross? She asked. He nodded. On behalf of the United Nations of Earth. Thank you, Daniel smiled. You got the message. We got more than that, she said. The whole planet saw your speech. You scared them half to death. Then I did my job. She looked around. Where's Claire? Still recovering, Daniel said, but safe. The ambassador lowered her voice. Earth is different now. They're building fleets, training envoys, watching the stars. Good, Daniel said, because this galaxy isn't safe. Later, Daniel stood with Valari at the edge of a large observation window. They watched as the Artemis I left orbit, carrying news back to Earth. You're a legend now, Valari said. I didn't want to be, Daniel replied. But they forced it. She looked at him carefully. And what do you want now? Daniel didn't answer right away. Then he spoke. I want them to remember. Remember what? That Earth didn't ask for war. That we came in peace. That we were stolen, tested, hunted. And still we offered peace. Valari nodded slowly. You think they'll listen? He looked at the stars. They will. Or they'll learn the hard way. In the weeks that followed, strange shifts happened in every corner of the galaxy. The Uruk Dominion pulled its war fleets back from neutral borders. The Cathari Prime opened a science agreement with Earth, even offering human researchers a place on their stations. And most shocking of all, the Drax Horde, long feared for its brutality, sent a message to Earth. It had only 2 words. We respect. But in the dark corners, not everyone was pleased. The Kelzer Syndicate had gone silent, but not gone. In an asteroid fortress, their leader hissed with anger. The Council fears Earth. Fools, he growled. A warrior stepped forward. Do we strike again? The leader narrowed his eyes. No, let the galaxy grow comfortable. Let the humans think they're safe. He tapped a button, showing a hidden lab full of Terran DNA samples. Then we strike where it hurts. Back. On Zenth Prime, Claire Halley opened her eyes. Daniel was at her side. Hey, he said gently. You're awake. She blinked. Where am I? Far from Earth, but you're safe now. She frowned. I remember. Lights, metal. Pain. They took you. They took you. Like they took me. Her voice cracked. Are we still prisoners? Daniel shook his head. No, now they're the ones on trial. She looked around slowly. I thought I was going to die. You didn't, Daniel said. You survived, and now they fear you too. Later, Daniel stepped out of the medical wing and looked at the galaxy chart on the wall. Every major system now had a symbol next to its name. Red circle for hostile, a yellow mark for neutral, and a green line for peaceful. One by one, more systems were turning green. Valai appeared beside him. You did this. No, Daniel said. Earth did. I just gave them a reason to look. She looked at him with quiet pride. What do you see when you look at the stars now? Daniel smiled. Faintly opportunities, threats, but also hope, she nodded. You're going home soon, aren't you? Yes, he said, but not to hide. Vilari tilted her head. Then why? To build, he replied. Earth's not a secret anymore. So it needs to be strong. She took a deep breath. The galaxy fears Earth now. Daniel looked at her. Then maybe they'll finally leave us alone. Vilari smiled. You know they won't. Daniel returned the smile. I'm counting on it. 3 months had passed since Daniel Cross stood before the Galactic Court. Earth had changed. No longer ignored. No longer feared as just a rumor. Earth was now a name that echoed across every star system. New embassies had opened. Trade routes had begun. Alien governments sent gifts and envoys to Earth's orbit. They smiled, they bowed, they asked politely, but Earth had not forgotten what was done, and Daniel had not forgiven. Now, he was returning to the place where it all began. Back to Zenth Prime. But this time, he wasn't alone. The council hall was busy with preparation. Security doubled. Reporters from 20 different systems waited at the gates. The doors of the chamber glowed with fresh shields. Counselor Vilari watched it all quietly from her window. He's coming back, said Counselor Zane beside her. Vilari nodded. And this time, Earth is watching everything. He'll want answers. Of course, she said. So will we. Zane folded his arms. You think he knows? I think, Vilari said softly. He's known for a while. The diplomatic ship Sol Sentinel entered Zenth Prime's orbit. It was large, strong, armored in Terran alloys no one could scan through. Inside the ship, Daniel stood at the command window. He wore a black jacket with Earth's emblem on the shoulder. His eyes were calm but sharp. Behind him stood Claire Halley, fully healed, now wearing the uniform of Earth's official envoy corps. She looked at the glowing station ahead. It feels strange, she said. Coming back here, Daniel didn't move. They thought we'd run. She raised an eyebrow. We didn't. No, Daniel said. We came back. Claire looked out the window. And what if they try something again? Daniel looked at her. Then we show them who we are. The council hall fell into silence as Daniel and Claire stepped through the entrance. Every seat was filled. Every leader was watching. Counselor Vilari stood to greet them. Daniel Cross, Claire Halley. Welcome back, Claire nodded. It's good to walk in by choice this time. Daniel stepped forward. Let's get to it. Counselor Dren leaned forward. You've requested a meeting outside the schedule. Explain why. Daniel placed a crystal disc on the podium. Because the Kelzar never stopped. Gasps echoed. Zane narrowed his eyes. We haven't had any confirmed movements. Daniel activated the device. A hologram appeared, showing a secret asteroid lab, human DNA, samples, alien machines, torture devices. Experiments. They moved underground, Daniel said. They're building something. Claire stepped forward. And they're using stolen human biology to do it. Valari whispered, You've known? We found the lab 3 weeks ago, Daniel said. And it wasn't the only one. Another image appeared, a human, twisted and barely alive. With Kelzar implants inside his body, Daniel's voice dropped low. They're creating something new. Something between us and them. Counselor Thyron stood. We gave them sanctions. We shut down their trade. What more do you want? Claire looked at him with fire in her eyes. You think that stops a monster? They need to be hunted, erased. Silence fell across the chamber. Zane cleared his throat. Do you suggest war? Daniel looked around. No, he said. Not yet. But we do suggest a strike team. Later. In a private meeting room, Valari sat across from Daniel. You kept this from us, she said. We couldn't risk leaks, he replied. You know what this means, don't you? She asked. If you attack the Kelzar without approval, Daniel interrupted, we won't need approval. We already have the right. Valari narrowed her eyes. And who gave you that? Daniel stepped to the window. The galaxy did. When they let us suffer in silence. When they locked me in a cell. When they left Claire to die. Valari stood slowly. You're angry. Daniel turned to her. I'm focused. That night, in the stars above, 6 Earthships moved toward the hidden Kelzar sector. They were fast, quiet, and deadly. Each ship carried a squad of elite. Humans trained in space combat, alien survival, and deep extraction. Daniel watched from the control deck of the Soul Sentinel. Claire stood beside him, her fingers tapping data into the holoconsole. First ship entering the outer ring, she said. Daniel gave the order. Stay dark, no broadcasts, no warnings. Below them, a Kelzar station blinked into view. It was shaped like a web, cold, sharp, and alive with movement. Inside, creatures walked through halls. Human screams echoed faintly through the vents. The mission began. On the surface, Counselor Dren received an urgent alert. What's happening? He asked. A council guard rushed in. Unregistered Earthships have entered Kelzar space. Dren's eyes widened. Is it Daniel? Valari appeared behind him. He's not asking for permission. Zane entered the chamber next. And he might not need it, if what he said is true. Valari whispered, we may be watching the beginning of something new. In the Kelzar station, the first human team moved in, guns silent, suits tight. Inside, the soldiers found tubes filled with part human, part alien bodies, some twitching, some screaming, some already dead. A team member whispered into the confirming hybrid tests. They're splicing. Daniel's voice came through. Collect evidence. Free any survivors. Leave no tech behind. Then, the Kelzar woke up. Sirens screamed. Walls shifted. Alien soldiers swarmed the halls, hissing and firing. The human teams didn't run. They fought, and they won. The first lab fell in 13 minutes. The second in 20. The third was already abandoned. Everything burned. Daniel stepped into the ashes himself. Claire followed, scanning the ruins. They're scared now, she said. Daniel nodded. Good. Let them feel what we felt. Back on Zenth Prime, counselors stood in front of screens showing everything. How did they move this fast? Dren asked. Zane shook his head. They didn't move fast. They were already ready. Valari stared in silence. Zane turned to her. Say it. You know what this means. She nodded slowly. The age of Earth has begun. Hours later, Daniel returned to the council chamber. This time, he brought evidence, pictures, DNA, victims, documents, warnings. He placed it all before the council. You asked why we came back, Daniel said. We came back, Claire added, because you didn't finish the job. Daniel faced them all. We've cleaned up your mistake. We've buried your silence. We've freed your prisoners. Now, Claire said, we're offering something new. Valari stood slowly. What do you mean? Daniel spoke clearly. New defense pact, Earth-led, volunteer-based, focused on protecting the forgotten many species, ignored by this council. Dren looked worried. You're forming your own alliance. No, Daniel said. We're forming a shield. Valari. Step forward. And if the council refuses? Daniel's eyes didn't waver. Then Earth will stand alone. But we won't stand small. Weeks passed. Earth's proposal spread like wildfire. Some planets joined instantly small. Weak, afraid of being next out, others hesitated. But one by one, they came. Because Earth had proved something no one else had. That when they say never again, they mean it. On Earth, people watched in awe as new ships left orbit. Kids wore shirts with the logo of the Sol Sentinel dot in the skies. Satellites blinked. With new code dot at night, Earth glowed with purpose dot in the end. The Kelzar were driven into hiding. And Daniel? He stood once more before the stars. Not as a survivor, but as a protector. A warning and a promise. Because he came back. And this time, so did all of Earth.